The tripod. Once you're used to using one, a tripod, it's pretty easy, but I definitely remember my first few experiences with a professional tripod and just how awkward they can be. So for this, we're going to use an Amazon $20 tripod. It's not a professional tripod by any means, but they're cheap and they work fine. I used to send them with my volunteers. They're inexpensive enough that my team, while they're traveling around the world, they could bang them around and it's okay. But they still did what they needed them to do, which is stabilize the camera. They do that job just fine. Now the tripod's got lots of little knobs and levers, which may seem confusing, but they're really pretty basic once you get used to them. Most inexpensive tripods work roughly the same as this one, so if you have a different tripod, this will still work for you. Even a simple one like this can get looked at as two pieces. There's the legs, with the part that holds it up, and then the head, which is the part at the top that secures the camera. More expensive tripods they'll a lot of times have separate legs and head that you can mix and match for different purposes, but a tripod like this, it's all one piece. It doesn't come apart, but it's useful to think of it as the two separate parts. So looking at the legs, they're expandable with these little levers. You open the lever and the leg can pull out. Usually you want to expand it to roughly the height that you want before you attach the camera. You also notice that this tripod has a built-in spreader. It helps keep the legs stable. The spreader folds out when you open the legs and it folds back in when you close them. Now, handy little note, I usually start with the lowest section of the legs and I expand those completely and I'll keep expanding the lower sections until I'm at roughly that height that I want the tripod to be. If I don't need the extra height, I'll leave the top ones unextended, and that way any final adjustments that I need to make, I don't have to reach all the way down to the floor to add more height. One more thing about the legs on this tripod, they have an extra height adjustment up here at the top. This little knob loosens so you can add an extra 6 inches or so to the height, and then you tighten it up to secure it. Now while we're mentioning the knobs, finger tighten only is a common phrase that you hear around equipment rental houses. You don't want to over tighten any of these knobs. They're pretty fragile, and over tightening can actually make them looser over time or even break on a tripod like this. Just tight enough to hold. That's what you want. So on to the head. There are 3 knobs on the different sides and something going on here on the top. That top is what's called a quick release plate. That lets you quickly take the camera on and off by pulling this lever. The plate comes off. Underneath is a little bolt that you can screw straight into the matching nut on the bottom of your camera, or if you're using a cell phone holder, it should have a matching nut on that. The first knob on this tripod doubles as the panning bar, so when you loosen the bar, you can tilt the head up or down as you need to. I recommend setting the height of the camera to roughly the height of your subject, and you don't want to be tilting up or down too much. It can look a little off if we're looking up at your subject or staring down at them. Small adjustments are fine, of course, but nothing too drastic that anyone might notice that we're not at their level. When adjusting the tilt, you may want to pay attention to the little bubble level that's on the side of the tripod. This one, it's a level like you'd use for carpentry. It shows you if the camera is level across the lens from front to back. When the bubble's in the middle, that means that it's level. Now other tripods may have a different style, a circular style of bubble that shows you all the angles. And you want the bubble to sit right in the middle circle so that you know you're level, not just front to back, but side to side. With this tripod, to see the sideways level, you basically just have to eyeball it. The best way is to look at the image in the viewfinder, see if it looks level, that it doesn't lean to one side or the other. And if it does, you'll need to adjust the legs to fix it. This tripod, it doesn't have a full side to side adjustment. The next knob is this one here on the side, lets you pan from side to side and lock it into place. Again, finger tighten once the camera is facing the direction that you want. And a moment ago, we took the release plate off the tripod, and now we need to attach it to the camera. It's pretty easy. The bottom of any camera should have a screw plate that attaches to the release plate. You put the plate's bolt into the camera, you tighten it on until it's solid. Now let's put the plate back on. Make sure to fold up the knob on the bottom so it doesn't get in the way. Open the lever on the side, slide the plate into the side that's furthest from the lever, then tilt it down flat and put the lever back all the way in place. Check to make sure that the plate is fully caught so that the camera doesn't fall. That's happened and it's not fun when it does. Now I can make any fine adjustments to the shot. Make sure all the knobs are locked in place and I'm ready to shoot. And that's the tech. It's a lot, but it's nothing too crazy, right? There's one more video in this section that's specifically about shooting with a cell phone, but otherwise that's all the stuff. Just one final note, as you find the settings and the best ways to use any of your equipment, you may want to start keeping checklist guides of what all the settings to check are and where those settings are. I keep those for a lot of my equipment. For one of my cameras, I have setting sheets for when I take photos of my daughter's gymnastics, but also settings that I use when I record things on a stage for one of my clients, and then general interview settings. That way, no matter what I need to do, I can quickly set the camera up and not miss any important adjustments that I need.